simple. It was simple because we did not move it left or right or up or down. We didn't shift it. Okay. These will be shifted vertically and or horizontally.
And what is this activity or note
4-6? Not so simple harmonic motion. Okay. So suppose the length of time between consecutive high tides is approximately 12.5 hours. So what does that tell you right now? If you're going from high tide to high tide,
that's your amplitude.
It is cosine, and that's not your amplitude.
Half your
No. It's your periods. Okay, it's how long it is, right? From high tide to high tide. Okay. So it's 12. This is your period. Let's write that down. Period equals 12.5 hours. Okay, in Savannah, Georgia, high tide occurred at 3:30 a.m. on June 28, 1997, Ben, and low tide occurred at 9:45 a.m. The depth of the water at high tide was 13.2 feet, and at low tide the depth was 2.2 feet. So tell me, what's going to be on this axis?
Hours.
Okay, time and hours. And what is going to be on the vertical axis?
Or depth.
The depth of the water in feet, right? So what was the minimum or what was the low tide?
The low tide was
2.2 feet.
Yeah,
The high
2.2
tide
feet.
was 13.2.
13.2, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we've got those two. Now, somewhere in the middle, we're going to have to find that. Because that's how far it moved up from the origin. And we'll find that in a minute. Okay, now, the high tide occurred at 3:30 a.m. So if we're starting at t equals 0, or this would be like midnight, then the first high tide would be at what? How many hours?
3:30 a.m.
That would be how many hours?
3.5.
Good. 3.5 hours. There's a high tide. And then 12.5 hours later, there's another high tide. And what is 3.5 plus 12.5?
15.5.
And it is 4 o'clock. You're right. 4 a.m. or p.m.? p.m. Okay. So this is 3:30 a.m. and this is 4 p.m. Okay, so then we have a minimum, and it tells us when the minimum was too. At 9:45. Don't really need to know that, but that would be what's 45 minutes out of 60 minutes?
0.75.
Good. 3/4 or 0.75. So this is a cosine. That's a horrible cosine.
That was beautiful.
Terrible.
That's one. Oh,
Terrible. Oh, I'm Miss Walton's best line drawing. It's all you work on that.
I do. All right.
That's on me.
So if you can sketch the graph, you can write the equations. It's sketching the graph that's kind of hard. Okay. Right. And we're going to write an equation. This is going to be a sine or a cosine.
cosine.
Positive or negative?
Positive.
It holds water. Okay. And what's the amplitude? How are we going to find?
12.5.
No. How are we going to find the amplitude?
It's 5.1.
Okay. How did you get that?
You do
There's the middle of 13.2 and 2.3 is 7.1.
You take the
No.
top number, subtract it by the bottom number, and then divide by 2.
Okay. So the top number is
13.2
minus 2.2.
divided by 2.
What is 13.2
Why do
minus
you
2?
divide it by 2?
Just a second. Well,
You're getting the average.
what is 13.2 minus 2.2?
11.
11. Okay. That's the distance from the minimum to the maximum, but our amplitude is only halfway. Okay.
That's
All right. So half of 11 is
5.5.
5.5.
Way more complicated.
So that's your amplitude. If you will subtract your maximum minus your minimum divided by 2.
Not so
Okay.
simple. Harmonic motion.
I'm going to write that up here. A equals max minus min divided by 2. Every time you'll get it. Okay. Okay. Then how do we find the b? Because that's next.
2 pi over
2
period.
pi over the period. And what's the period? 12.5. If you want to leave it as 2 pi over 12.5, I am fine with that.
Okay. I think that would work.
Okay, now it doesn't start at the origin. It starts where?
X minus 3.5.
Good.
Minus 3.5.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Then it goes right.
Went right, so we have
13.
minus. Now we gotta find this middle part, this K.
That was a
So
Plus
2.2
5.5.
plus 5.5.
Right, you know the amplitude from here to here is 5.5. So we add,
2.2.
that's 2.2.
7.7.
I hate Joe.
So plus
You know how you just got that?
7.7.
Yes.
Okay, now when we put in the calculator, you're gonna have parenthesis here, and you're gonna need one at the back. Just like that.
Oh, yeah.
So you
because
can't add the
cosine
X on
close.
top. Could you add the X on top, the 2 pi?
You don't want to because it's in parentheses with a 3.5. Now, if you didn't have a horizontal shift, then you would put the X on top.
Yeah.
Okay. When you have a horizontal shift, you don't want to do that. So 5.5 cosine parentheses 2 pi divided by 12.5. I got too many parentheses here. There we go.
I was wondering.
Open parentheses, X minus 3.5. You want to type it in just like it is on your paper. You have it in there?
No, I was doing it in my head.
No, you can't do it in your head.
To find the next high tide.
But the next one we can't do in your head, so put it in there. You gotta put it in your calculator. You already know the next high tide.
Yeah. Let's see, we got 5.5.
Look at your paper. Do it from your paper.
Okay.
She's one
How
on
was your
seven.
weekend?
It was busy.
She went to the track meet on Saturday.
I spent my weekend in your
Forgot my
hometown.
sunblock.
You did.
In your
You
hometown?
get sunburned.
Corpus.
It's not good.
Good state.
George, you're from Corpus?
No, I said Miss Walton's.
Oh.
I know, he went to my hometown.
What'd you do?
Haven't been there in like 3
You
years.
didn't make it.
I didn't put that in my
But
English
Chaps
and
did.
it's just under the
It's a
entire.
logo.
Okay, when
Happy
we can tell when the next high tide occurred because we wrote it down. When is it?
4 p.m.
4 p.m. on what day?
Same day.
Same day, June 28th. Okay, what was the water level at 11 p.m.? Okay, so how many hours from 4 p.m. is 11 p.m.? 7. So add that to 16.
21.
23. So we're looking for 23 hours. Okay, so first of all, I need to graph this. What would I put for the window?
25.
Yeah, it's been about 25
Yeah,
to
it's
30.
max 25.
At least 25,
Yeah,
okay?
That's all I changed.
In the
Y max.
max.
Doesn't need to change.
It can be 15.
Yeah,
I have 20 on it, but it could be 15.
Add like
What are you doing?
Just making noises to the line.
Okay.
Like a slide whistle.
Then where do we put 23 hours?
Except for I can't listen.
value.
Value.
Uh,
23. So what is the depth of the water after at 11 p.m.?
2.5.
2.586 feet. Why would that be important to know?
Because if you have a toddler out there, you don't want him to be swimming when it's high tide.
Or like fishing. Fishing is good at certain
Oh,
water
that
depth. Also, if you're coming in on a water vessel, you might need to know that. Okay?
water vessel.
It could be a surfboard,
Oh,
it could
right.
be
Yeah, that
a
water
boat, it could be a windsurf.
Be like on
Corpus Christi is the windsurf capital of America.
Oh, America.
Windsurf? It was so
Windsurf.
cold there in the ocean.
This one, have you ever been windsurfing?
I am not, but I have been surfing.
It was like hot though,
I
dude.
haven't been windsurfing.
it was so cool.
I know, but like the water was cold, but it was hot.
Okay, since the number, this one is, is this the, no, this is the summer solstice and the winter solstice. What's the summer solstice?
It's really dry.
No.
You know where like the sun shines?
The shortest day of the year.
Summer solstice is the
longest
longest day of the year. Winter
I thought it
solstice
was
is
the other
the
way.
shortest day of the year. Okay. Since the number of hours of sunlight in a day cycles annually, it can be modeled with a sinusoidal function. The longest day of the year occurs at the summer solstice in June, while the shortest day of the year occurs in the winter solstice in December. Y'all remember the date? June what?
23rd.
21st. I don't know the December. It's
That
either
was
21st
weird.
or 22nd. Okay, in Boston, the number of hours of sunlight on the summer solstice is 15.283. And on the winter solstice, there are 9.067 hours of sunlight.
So there's 15 hours of sunlight.
15 hours of sunlight in June 21st.
Nice.
Okay. All right, so we're going to make a sketch of the hours of sunlight per month for Boston. So this is time in months.
It's like waking up at like 9 o'clock and the sun going back down at 6.
For 9 hours.
For the 9 hours.
Yeah.
Really?
Hey, Alaska, it's really different.
And Alaska.
Okay, then
2 hours
this
of sunlight.
would be hours of sunlight,
Uh-huh.
or sunlight in hours.
Measure sunlight in hours.
Hours of sunlight in a day,
So we have time and time. That's good.
pretty much. Okay, Ben, what's the minimum number of sunlight hours? Ben, what's the minimum number of sunlight hours?
9.967.
Yes. What's the maximum number of sunlight hours?
15.283.
That's good.
All right, it says to use T equals 1 for January. So this 1 will be January. So what does it start at? If this is 0 here.
June.
What comes before January?
December.
Starts at December. Okay. Oh. Yeah, how long is the cycle?
From 12 months.
12 months.
It was not that funny.
I wasn't laughing. I nearly swallowed my gum.
Okay, the longest day occurs at what month is the longest day?
June.
June, which is which month?
I don't find it funny.
Which month is it?
You're very much old.
5.
Try again.
June.
Count again. Okay.
Which month did I leave out?
Yeah.
March, April.
May.
June.
Did you leave that one?
Did you really?
Okay, the longest day would be up here at 15.283. The shortest day occurs in both Decembers. So 9.067.
So it's a negative cosine? Oh.
Looks like it to me.
What is that?
Okay, write an equation.
Thought it had to be sine.
Yeah, so it's sinusoidal.
Sinusoidal is either cosine or sine.
Oh, it is?
Mm-hmm.
I always thought it
Yep.
was just sine.
It's either
I
one.
have no idea. Hopefully that's worked out.
Okay, so we know it's a negative cosine. We got to find the amplitude. How do you find the amplitude?
Max minus minimum.
3.
Divided by?
2.
Okay,
3.108. Got it.
it's 3.108. We'll take your word for it.
Should we really?
Yeah, I remember it.
What?
Well, no packs do you go through with 8?
Just 2.
How many what?
What's the period?
It's 2.
But what's the period?
I don't know.
Oh.
Oh.
12.
12 months?
So the B is 2 pi over
Yeah.
5 or
12.
6.
pi over 6. Okay. So we have negative 3.108 cosine
5 or 6.
pi over 6. Is it moved horizontally?
No.
No. So it's just an X. But it is moved up. We got to find this point right here. How do you find that point?
Half or
9
9.156 plus 3.108.
Okay. 9.067.
12.175.
12.175.
Boom.
So I'm going to put K equals 12.175.
I wish I was lovely.
He did?
Alright, now put this in your calculator. Since it doesn't have a horizontal shift, we can put the X up there with the pi. Okay, y'all need to quit talking, please.
Oh yeah, you got the pi x in this one.
Yes,
Divided by 6, parentheses.
and I think we can leave. Nope, I gotta change my window. No, it's okay. I'll change it to 20 now.
Trace. Oh wow, my Y max was at 1,000.
Yeah, it's a little too.
Yours may not look like mine. It depends on where you put your window. Okay, I put my window at 20 and 20.
Okay, mine's at 2020.
All right, according to the model, how many hours of sunlight are there in February? What month is February?
2.
The second calc value 2.
Don't understand.
10.621 hours of daylight. How about May?
5. 14.867.
Hours of sunlight.
Go to Y equals.
When are there at least 12 hours of sunlight? So put in 12. Okay, so in this very first one, you want to see where the graph is above 12 hours of sunlight. So it'll be from this, George, I hope you're paying attention.
Yeah, I'm big.
No, you're not. It'll be from this point to this point. So second calc intersect. I'm going to do the second one first since
I
I'm
did
already
too.
over there.
It's 9, so that's
5.
September.
9.107.
The other one's 2.892.
Okay.
H in the first period, middle of
2.89 what?
2.
Okay. So what month is 2.892?
February.
Late February?
February 27th.
And what about 9.107?
Early September.
It's kind of easy.
From late February to early September, there's 12 hours, at least 12 hours of sunlight in Boston.
January, February.
Okay, how would this graph change if you were in Alaska?
Ooh, it'd be way up higher. During June.
No.
The max,
It'd be way lower.
It'd be a lot
because
smaller.
the
There's
amplitude
hardly
would be much larger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because you would go from like 3 hours of sunlight a day to
like 21.
22 hours of sunlight a day,
Yeah.
21. Okay.
Because it's not hot.
Okay.
Just because the sun lights out doesn't mean it's hot.
Okay, we're doing the first 3. Add it again, Cruz, add it again.
I don't smell sneezing at all.
Okay, we are doing, listen, we're doing the Fox problem. Y'all listening? Shh, you're talking, not listening. The Fox problem, the sunspot problem, and the temperature problem.
Is that it?
That's it. Fox problem is about population.
Oh, those your new sweatpants? Very good.
One.
Good.
Yeah, we'll check this.